Good evening, Super Metroid fans. Good evening, Speed Gaming fans. We're here live on Speed Gaming Main today for some Super Metroid multi-category extension tournament action, version 2021. We've got two great runners tonight, apathyduck and ironrusty, kicking off this early round action. My name is Professor School. I am joined here live with my co-commentator, Papa Schmo. Papa Schmo, what's up tonight? How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. I'm glad to be here with you and with these two runners to see what they have in store for us. I am super excited personally about this category. It's definitely been one of my favorite of the five that you can see in this tournament. So I'm really excited to see what the runners bring to the table here and see what they have in store for us.
Absolutely. And so, for those of you joining us for the early part of this run, this is North Korea Percent. We are very often sorting our bosses in Super Metroid by the order that we fight them. There's a lot of different permutations. This is definitely one of the more challenging combinations here. So, we're going to be running a Dragon first route here. So this is DPRK Dragon, Fantoon, Ridley, and then Kraid last instead of first. DPRK, the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. That's why we call it North Korea Percent. And you get wet and wild early in this one. Getting into Meridia without any suits can be quite challenging. What do you think, Papa Schmo? How do you feel about that Dragon grapple escape?
Oh, the grapple escape is definitely a fun one, and one you might spend an entire day learning if you're not familiar with it. So there definitely can be a lot of inputs that you'll need at one time to kind of get out of there and keep your stored shine spark that you'll need in the very next room. If you don't do all of that absolutely correctly, you're gonna have to reset and fight Dragon all over again. So definitely a lot of walking on eggshells here as in terms of strats that you'll need to get through this first Meridia portion without the gravity suit. It's going to be really exciting.
Yes, it will. And I think this is really a great strategic decision from Iron Rusty. We have Apathy Duck coming in here as the number 2 seed in the tournament, has always been a solid runner. Definitely one of the, we were talking about this when he was on comms the other day during one of my races. Definitely one of those sort of really upper mid-tier runners, just like knocking on the door of some of the more elite times. Has done a lot of work to prep for this tournament and is definitely going to be the heavy favorite here against Iron Rusty. But Iron Rusty, showing what they can do, had a really tough matchup in the sort of play-in game against Streame. And Stream, known for GT Max, known for having some incredible technical capabilities, and Rusty, to their credit, went into some volatile categories and forced the Stream into difficult situations, right? Where they were required to do some of these all or nothing tricks, as my co-commentator was pointing out. And in the end, things went Iron Rusty's way. He eked out a 2-1 victory. Definitely, probably the upset of the tournament for right now, and maybe will be for the foreseeable future. And now is going to try to do the same thing against Apathy Duck, another higher seed. Apathy Duck vetoed GT Max percent. And here comes Rusty in with some North Korea percent. A great decision, I think. What do you think about this strategic choice here, Papa Schmo?
I think that is spot on. I think when you have kind of a PB disparity like this, I mean, we've got Apathy Duck with a 10130, a 10157 in this category, and on at the start of this tournament, Rusty had a 11543. So there's definitely a lot of minutes in between those. But I will say that when you pick a category like this that is volatile, I mean, you might be counting on that runner who's got a much faster time than you to potentially take what can be a very easy thing to do, a death in the early portions of this run. And so you might be kind of banking on that and trying to use that to your advantage. So I definitely agree with the choice of this category. Also to note, Iron Rusty, since the start of the tournament, like I said, he had a 115 something, but on the leaderboards on SRC right now, he's already improved by 4 minutes. So they have been working on this category, and they are going to be ready for this North Korea percent.
Yeah, absolutely. Tons of improvement. You see that nice synced D-boost. For those of you who play a lot of Super Metroid Randomizer, that D-boost, obviously one of those super important simple tricks that you learn to get that ceiling tank. A little bit different though, because in this case in vanilla, you need to go back up that elevator into that first Pirates room and Pits room. You need to activate everything down here. Otherwise, you need to do a triple frame perfect taco tank jump that actually also depends on some collision oscillation. Nothing like that here. These runners are not going to try to save that 30 seconds. It's a ridiculous trick. And I thought maybe we might get a route divergence here with apathyduck choosing to forego that early retro Bryn tank, but both runners deciding to go down and get that safety. I think that's a great race safety. It only costs about 30 seconds, and I'm sure you're feeling more comfortable seeing that your opponent is doing it as well. So no time lost, no harm, no foul, and that extra tank, as you all will see in a moment, is going to really come in handy with some of these early game hell runs through Upper Norfair, collecting some of the essential items that we will need to traverse Meridia suitless.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm not exactly sure. Not picking up that tank again. I mean, I'm not expert in the category, but I haven't run it without that tank. So as you said, going through these hell runs here, I guess probably about once we get to them, they're going to have 3 tanks and a reserve tank, and they're going to have to use every inch of energy to get through there without dying. So I'll definitely see. I am interested in some route divergence for sure as well. I haven't watched apathyduck, but since his time is so low, I'd definitely be interested to see what they may skip on the way to where we're going.
Yeah, we'll have a little bit of time to talk about what that will be. We are in here for our first mini boss of the game. This is really obligatory. We're going to be, well, you can see with a 10 missile fight just how quickly you can dispose of the bomb Chorizo here. Easy work, leaving with full health and missiles. Friendly drops and drop placement for apathyduck. We'll see if we get the same here. Just slightly under, but no problem whatsoever for Iron Rusty. There's a nice, easy, clean farm to put himself up to 10 missiles.
Indeed, and Rusty coming up on this Alcatraz, making it look easy. Same with apathyduck. Still not really in the same room. We're gonna see how much difference there is going to be between these runners until we get to the hard stuff. I don't imagine there will be a whole lot. So see how this tends to split up as these runners go through each of these rooms and what strats they use.
Damage here from Iron Rusty does make this a little tricky. Let's see if these pirates oblige. Yeah, so he's just going to take his time a little bit here and make sure that that they go through this room without any issue. The extra missing missile could potentially be a problem here, depending on what these gamers decide to drop. Yeah, and as I say that, Iron Rusty decides to just go ahead and eliminate any of the RNG, spend the extra 2 seconds, and farm up to full missiles since they weren't at full health there.
Doesn't want to chance it, and it makes sense. I mean, as you saw on apathyduck's screen right now, and you're about to see on Rusty's, having these 10 missiles allows you to just go straight over to the door that will get you to this reserve tank without having to refill or do any other shenanigans that's going to cost extra time. It's just much nicer to go in here with 10 missiles.
Yeah, it is. The biggest thing that I think that affords the runner is not needing to worry about getting the reserve tank afterwards, and then forcing that very tight reverse mock ball in order to not lose those extra 7 seconds. As I mentioned that, SpeedGaming 4 coming in with the hot raid, 196 people joining us. Thank you so much for that raid. SpeedGaming 4, you are watching some Super Metroid multi-category extension tournament action. Why is this an extension category tournament? Well, these are we're memeing today, right? We had our big 2020 multi-category tournament last year, which was fire. Go ahead and find some of those old YouTube clips, and now we're doing a little bit of fun stuff off the extension boards. We got some really cool categories for you, but I will point out, just because these are extension categories and meme categories does not mean that they are not challenging, and this one in particular, North Korea percent, definitely going to be demanding a lot from our two runners today for the first 20 to 25 minutes. Expect to see safety saves. I hope we don't see any deaths, but that's what those safety saves will be for.
Absolutely. Yeah, the difficulty is kind of front loaded in the first half of this run here in this category. So these runners are going to be, as you see on Apathy Duck's screen right now, they're farming up to make sure that that reserve tank is nice and full all the way up to 100 energy, because they're going to need every single point of energy from that reserve tank in order to get through these heated portions of Planet Zebes or Zebes, however you'd like to say it, because they don't have their various suit. They're going to be taking damage every second, and they need to pop those reserves in order to get through these what we call hell runs, because they're so hot. You need to get out as soon as you can.
Yeah, so that's probably one of the better places, I think, for our runners to actually go ahead and farm up. You've got those two bugs coming out at the same time in other places. Hellway, of course. There's some other strats that other runners tend to use. You can do some really clever farms in Upper Norfair if you take Spazer, but I believe that apathyduck is going to be going sans Spazer. I'm fairly certain that that is not a safety that he will be taking. We do have ironrusty making his way relatively cleanly, choosing a slightly easier version of the red tower. I expect apathyduck to go for this hero shot. Yep, did it connect? It did. Very, very nicely executed red tower there from apathyduck.
Yeah, doing that hero shot without high jump boots, little P shot there, it's definitely different than doing it with high jump boots. So, GG's to apathyduck on that.
Yeah, got to follow that hero shot up with two very quick wall jumps, which can be a little difficult to get those inputs in. And that is really essential to getting that hero shot to not despawn off screen to open that gap at the top of red tower. All right, our runner's getting their first two power bomb packs here. This is going to look, for those of you talking about it in chat and thinking about it, this is going to look a little bit like the setup for RBO. The real difference here, of course, is that with reverse boss order, you are going to Ridley first, and you're doing lower Norfair, completely suitless. We are not going to have to worry about that and a bunch of multiple crystal flashes to keep yourself safe and alive. We're going to save Ridley for the third boss here in this category, and instead we are going to go straight to a suitless Meridia. So kind of a more forgiving RBO, and RBO light is what a lot of people call it. And definitely a good entryway point to get comfortable with some of those hell runs, right? You got the Upper Norfair hell runs, you've got some suitless Meridia. It's a fun category, and it's not nearly as punishing as RBO.
Absolutely. Yeah, I have not done RBO myself, but having done this category in preparation for this tournament, definitely makes me want to try some RBO after this tournament is done. So I would highly recommend this category. It's a lot of fun to anybody who wants to check it out. Apathyduck making their way past that Meridia tube. They have to go down and snag themselves a little bit of high jump boots first, so that they can get through Meridia nice and comfortably. And I say comfortably, they're going to have to do a lot of technical stuff to get through there, but we're going to start seeing the fun, really, in quotes, happen on apathyduck's screen here, as we are going to start some of these hell runs very soon.
First hell run coming up. apathyduck does choose to stick with that P shot. It will make life a little harder. It's about a depending on your timing, somewhere between 18 and 20-second time save not picking up Spazer. apathyduck has made a good point on several occasions, including on commentary. The Spazer is very comfy, as a lot of people are aware. However, in Upper Norfair, a lot of the benefit of Spazer is lost if you can use missiles and pseudo screws to get through those areas. The other place where it might be somewhat differential is when you get into Meridia with some of the freezing strats, And as a backup for Botwoon, I would say really nice to have Spazer. So I agree with Iron Rusty's decision here. Both of our runners taking their first safety save before their hell runs. I think this is a great idea.
Absolutely. Oh, we have Rusty going over to ice. That's a definite difference as well. Apathyduck's not going to go ahead that way. But as you see, I mean, there's a lot of enemies going through this hell run here. A lot of ways to accidentally take damage or kind of just do the wrong thing. Apathyduck.
Yeah, and if I could step in real quick, I just wanted to highlight what I was talking about before. You just saw apathyduck execute a pseudo screw there to get through that heavy hitting enemy in that first cathedral room. And making it through here with no problem, 50 energy plus 100 in the reserves. So you're going to need about somewhere between 65 and 80 energy, depending on how comfortable you are. This is going to be a little close. Might have to dip into reserves here, depending on how it goes. Yeah, it's going to look like it. And the only unfortunate thing here about losing those reserves, of course, is the time that it's going to take you to fill those back up. So a little unfortunate for apathyduck, but solace can be taken in the fact that even though early ice is a nice safety, it definitely costs time to pick it up now. So apathyduck will maintain the lead for the time being.
Yes, indeed. It's always kind of interesting as well. Like, how many times do you farm? Because you can't see how many reserves or how much energy is going into your reserve per farming of each set of bugs there. So, and you definitely don't want to pause the game to find out because that's a time sink as well. So it's kind of a little bit nerve-wracking. You don't want to waste too much time farming, but at the same time, you want your reserves to be full. At least I do. Rusty grabbing their high jump boots, and they will be making their way into the same hell run. They took their safety save before going to get ice and high jump, so I'm wondering.
We might see another one here, actually.
Yeah.
I think I'm almost certain that we will.
Which is smart. Yeah, I mean.
It is. I mean, this is part of the issue with taking ice first. The other issue that I particularly have for ice, the reason I'm not a big fan, is just mainly because there's enemies that I would rather be blasting through if I have Spazer, and I'm worrying about freezing them instead, and they're going to get in my way, and that's really the reason that I don't like it. Now, you get some extra damage output. I think it's nice to have ice on, but definitely can slow you down. Oh, and here's exactly why those hell runs are dangerous. You saw apathyduck hitting one of those Alcoons. That is a dangerous, dangerous enemy, and it does a ton of damage, especially suitless. And so apathyduck deciding to immediately abort, despite having that extra tank, that could have gotten really, really close. Going back up to the pre-speed farm and deciding to just absolutely play it safe. I'm sure watching the restream and knows where his opponent is. I think this is absolutely the right decision.
Yes, indeed. And double chamber, which is the next room coming through here, is no slouch. It claims a lot of runs. I mean, if you do a little adjustment to your movement, you might go through one of those platforms, and if you fall down there in this category, that is almost certainly a reset or a death, depending on how many tanks you have and stuff like that. But apathyduck makes it through, gets the wave beam, very nice, and they're going to be heading down after this to go get themselves a grapple beam.
Yeah. Now, what's tricky here on the exit? Is this jump right here. If you miss that jump, you got to be really careful. Those spikes pack a punch, and apathyduck going for the more aggressive strat, jumping straight at that door. You can spend about 10 or 20 extra frames in order to make that jump a little bit safer, but making it through, and that's why we have that third tank, 36 energy, avoiding that beeping area, and will actually take a second safety save here on the backside of those Bubble Mountain pickups. You know what? Again, being ahead here, I'm not sure that I mind this decision, especially since you're not guaranteed to get all the drops you want to make this run down to the next farm spot comfy. So in this situation, having a little bit of a lead, I think it's absolutely a good decision.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. It's definitely not anything going. Oh, he has to pop the reserves here. That's a bit
Oh no.
But yeah, this hell run down to that farm was definitely less of a scary one. Looks like they're gonna go right to get this energy refill. Sometimes I'll just go to Croc if I have enough energy, but definitely under 100 is not enough. So got to get that energy refill. And ironrusty grabbing that speed booster.
Yeah, you got to be really careful with that. I've definitely tried to place some of my PBs a little bit more aggressively, going to Croc directly without that aptly named Nutella refill. But, the trick is not necessarily the Croc fight. The problem is getting over to that energy tank behind Croc. You have no suits, you got to jump through without any gravity or heat protection. And if something goes wrong with one of those jump inputs, you're going to be in real trouble, right? So
Sure. I actually don't grab this tank after Croc. I grab it on the way out so that I can have energy that I am more comfortable with going to get ice, because I don't get ice at the beginning. So as a bunch of different routes you can see here. So we'll just have to see how these runners take it.
getting full run speed there on that jump, so just has to dip into that heated pool of lava the one time. Going to fill up these energy tanks here. We'll get a little bit of lag from Croc's death animation. Oh, no, apathyduck hanging back and waiting. That's probably smart. Saving some time there on the lag. And on the right side of our screen, this is a very critical moment for ironrusty. Got to make it through these two jumps over the spikes.
Very nice, looking good so far.
Got a little extra safety wall jump there just to make sure they got up.
And you might see them take a second to kind of make sure that they're on the very edge of this. They're going to pop the reserves. I'm okay with this. I mean, if you're not comfortable or you just want to be extra safe, doing this is definitely a good idea to make sure you don't die. Ooh, and that jump is okay. I had a nice little backup for it. That was a scary jump, not getting that. 68 energy is probably okay. 58 energy is probably enough to get down to the farm before Croc, but I would probably snag a save depending on how comfortable they are. Okay, all right. ironrusty looks out of the danger zone.
Ooh, man,
Little
was
bit
that close,
scared
though.
there.
Holy smokes. Was that, what were we down at? 15, 16, 17 energy?
Yeah, I think it was below that. I was like
Oh, my
12 or
goodness.
something.
Yeah, this is what this category will do for you. And folks, we're not out of the woods yet. We need to get through a suitless Meridia after this. Apathyduck now making their way back up this Croc shaft. And yeah, nice little refill here for ironrusty heading down to their Croc fight. And I fully expect Apathyduck to load up completely in this bug farm here.
Yes, absolutely. And Dragon, once we get to Meridia, Dragon, I'll say hello to Crocky one more time here on Rusty's screen. The Dragon fight is definitely very, very technical, but really some of the scary parts about Suitless Meridia is, Coliseum, the room before you get to the precious room and then over to Dragon. Botwoon can sometimes be pretty brutal depending on what you're doing. So there's definitely a lot of things to look out for and to worry about. So let's send our luck and our love to these runners so they can get through this without dying.
Being a little bit of pain in the butt, throwing a ton of those swipes Rusty's way, and Rusty burning through a couple extra supers there, but fortunately not co-jacking any of them. And here's one final safety save from apathyduck. This is going to be the final bit of hell runs for this category. apathyduck going to farm up some of these Sovas here, fill up energy nice and good, and super through this door, pick up the ice beam, and then it'll be off to Suitless Meridia. So we're going to get into from hot to wet in this category. Let's go for it.
Nice little speedball strat over to ice on apathyduck screen.
All right, one final hurdle. This last half of the final hell run. Nice little farm. Didn't get any health there. Got a couple missile drops only. So let's just see if apathyduck can consolidate a very, very nice set of hell runs with this ice escape here. Looks pretty good.
Oh, just a couple of millimeters off there on the speed. It's interesting. It looked like he got enough run speed there, so that's too bad. He had the nice setup for it though.
Yeah, the run speed wasn't the issue, as you point out. I think it was actually that it looked like it may have actually been a bounce ball through the door. I'm not entirely sure, but usually what you like to do there is make sure you're fully mocked and in contact with the ground before you make that door transition.
Yeah. And for anybody watching, kind of what. Okay, we're gonna get a little bit of farming on apathyduck's side there.
Totally the right decision. Yeah, I love this. I like to get up to 200 energy. You're going to be getting into a Botwoon fight where, depending on the RNG that you get, it's very, very easy to take 1 or 2 hits, and every hit suitless is 100 damage, and it doesn't matter if that's from Botwoon's body or from one of those green particles that he spits out. So I think farming up here, even more than I would go at this point, 300. But you know what? You're in a race. You're in the lead. You just go for it, and you make sure that you're as safe as possible.
Unfortunately, apathyduck, you'll probably see this on Rusty's screen, was going for a super awesome looking and quick strat after blowing the tube in Meridia to kind of jump all the way up and being able to get past all of this stuff in pretty much one movement. But they had a little turnaround animation, and that caused all of that just kind of not be possible anymore.
Yeah, usually you can get that nice auto gravity jump coming out of that broken tube, but instead it goes for one backup, it looks like, and it's going to be doing this very, very clever super shake off the wall here.
Yeah, giving Rusty a little bit of time to catch up, because if this doesn't go exactly right, this backup strat that Duck is trying here, looks like they got it on the second time around. It can just feel like you're just drowning on it, just taking so long. But he's up and up and up. As you said, everything in Meridia kind of just hits like a tank and is not something you want to have any contact with whatsoever.
So I'll point out here, this is one of the other places that, I think that crab's going to be a little low. Let's see.
Ooh.
Oh, so this is very nice what apathyduck just did. There is a tendency to want to down grab that fish as soon as possible. And actually the way to make that jump is Samus's vertical speed is increased as you're pushing up against that frozen enemy. So the longer you stay pushed up against the side of that frozen fish, the more you can accelerate Samus's vertical momentum. And that's actually really key to making what apathyduck just did there. I mean, that is within a few pixels of failing, but very, very nicely handled by apathyduck to save that jump and save a little bit of time. And oh no, and on the right side of our screen, ironrusty gets that gravity jump through the tube, and unfortunately puts themselves in a kind of a rough spot here. Are they going to get these wall jumps? No. And needed to bail on that because that fish is going to do a ton of damage. And gosh, with that door open, you're just in a really rough spot, because if you fail, you fall right back down into the next room.
Yeah, they almost had it. They were right there. They just one more little thing, and yeah, that's really unfortunate. But at least Rusty's up now and on their way, on the heels of apathyduck, trying to make the way and save as much time as they can. You're gonna see apathyduck doing a little bit of grapple strats here that look like they must be super fun. He's gonna do some couple of flips here to try to get the he's going for what's called a grapple jump, and you'll see a lot of that. That's gonna be the way that they're going to be able to get out of the Dragon room. Without it, it would be almost impossible to do. So a lot of fun stuff coming the viewer's way.
Yeah, so one of the big differences you can see here in the way that these runners are able to handle this main street shaft is the lack of spazer for apathyduck, who needed to hit 5 and 3 shots on these two enemies to freeze them. And instead, it's much simpler set of freezes here for ironrusty with the power of that spazer beam. So it does make managing some of this a little easier. You don't have to get quite so many frozen wave shots off. But handling that nicely, both of our runners needing all of their backups here. Not everything quite going as they scripted the first time, but I'm very impressed here seeing each of our runners knock out some really nice backups in one of the more difficult rooms in this game. These long vertical rooms are always difficult in Super Metroid, but when you're gravity-less in Meridia, yeah, that's forget about it. It can be really tough.
Yeah, having backups is really the sign of an experienced runner for sure. Um, it almost happened so quickly we didn't even get to kind of demonstrate it as a hey, check this out. But the apathy duck doing those chain grapple jumps to get up the previous room there, and is now going to be freezing. Well, was going to try to freeze that Machtroid there so they could clip through the top, and unfortunately has to take a reset. That is very unfortunate. It's going to give ironrusty, though, a little bit of time to kind of to catch up and close this gap.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this in the beginning, and I'm sure Duck doesn't like to hear it, but this is what ironrusty's best strategic move was in this run, right? Create chaos, run a volatile category. Yeah, apathyduck has an incredible, I mean, definitely has the capacity to run a sub-hour in this category. But this is what you want if you're ironrusty. You want to create volatility, you want to create chaos, and you want to get the higher seeded runner into a position where they have to execute everything just to stay ahead. Right, so I think this is a great decision, and unfortunately for Rusty, it's paying off. But we're not counting anyone out. There is some hardcore Super Metroid execution that needs to happen coming up, and there's a fair share of RNG that will contribute to that as well. So let's see how these runners handle it.
Absolutely. ironrusty taking the same safety save that apathy duck did, and I mean, unless you're super duper confident in this in a race setting, I'm not sure why you wouldn't take that. We've got a Botwoon fight coming up on apathy duck's side. There's only one place you can stand in this room without Botwoon being able to physically hit you with its snake body. But they do still shoot. I don't know what those are. Those little mouth flower seed particle thingamabobs, and those can be troublesome as well if you get caught in too many of those.
Yeah, they do 100 damage just the same as Botwoon's body does. And the one place where as you point out correctly, Papa Schmo, you were safe in that bottom left corner from getting bodied by Botwoon. But when you get that pop out and peekaboo sort of moment from Botwoon, those green particles, as far as I know, I have never been able to avoid them in that bottom left spot. And that is why being at 300 health and being able to tank a couple hits from Botwoon is really important. But apathyduck making it out without too much issue, having to go totally empty on supers. It does take 10 supers or 10 charged spazer shots. ironrusty going with some missiles here. They do have that full spazer ice charge combo, which I think would actually be a little bit faster in this situation and would require a little bit less farming from the Zoas later. And there you go, ironrusty. Well, running out of missiles, I thought maybe they heard me talking on comms about the beauty of a fully charged spazer, but handling Botwoon, no problem, escaping, and both of our runners will be making their way through another one of the absolute monster portions of this run, which is that Coliseum suitless. I mean, this is just hard stuff, Papa Schmo. Do you get nervous still? I know I do when I'm running this Coliseum suitless.
I don't. I just don't think about it anymore, because if I think about it, then I start to get nervous, and if I get nervous, then my play becomes less than optimal. So I just don't think about it. I know what I'm supposed to do, and I just try not to get any way, shape, or form worked up about it. But yeah, we're gonna see these runners so far. apathyduck making it look easy, taking some nice D-boosts off of these spikes. Usually a good way to do what apathyduck just did is to morph, because that guarantees that you'll stay on the spikes after you hit them. But we had a D boost from one spike to the other, and then a nice little wall jump just to make it out of there. Very, very well done. And just like that, Coliseum is done for apathyduck. They're going to take a little bit of damage from these Metroids because in order to do what they need to do for Dragon, they're going to need a Crystal Flash. And that means they're going to need to have under 50 health, absolutely no reserves. So they need to take a little bit of damage here in order to set up this Dragon fight the way they need to. Ooh, Rusty, please, Rusty.
Okay, Rusty should be able to get out. Rusty, oh wait, takes damage from the spikes. There's one way out of this. You need to be able to crouch jump and get out. We might be looking at a reset. No, because he's going for... Yeah, he is unfortunately going for some grapple strats there. That is really unfortunate. That is what Coliseum will do to you in North Korea %. In the meantime, we do have Duck. Let's focus on what they're doing. We will get back to Rusty in a minute. There's that Crystal Flash. Dragon is interrupting that Crystal Flash. That will give us a Flash suit. So now Duck has to act like they have a Spike suit and be very, very careful to not blow this Spike suit any way that you trigger a Shine Spark here. Duck now waiting for a grapple kill, and will use a second bit of tech on top of the grapple kill. Waiting to get grabbed by this goop. Nice, and then releases the charge in order to initiate that Shine Spark. Dragon grabs Samus again, interrupting the Shine Spark, and giving Samus a blue suit. Now, normally you would actually see the blue suit, but underwater you just see these echoes. As Duck is flying through the air there in Samus's form, those echoes are just indicative of that the blue suit was actually activated. And that will make that grapple jump much, much easier in order to get out of Dragon's lair. Otherwise, you have to do a grapple jump while not blowing your spike suit, your flash suit. Much, much more forgiving with that blue suit on.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about, because right here, what apathyduck's going to try to do is morph and get the grapple jump and press jump twice to get out and then initiate the jump, which allows you to jump kind of in midair there. If you had only the flash loot, pressing jump twice is just going to initiate the spark and you're just going to shoot into the ceiling, and that's a reset. Wow, nice little, I don't know what you call that, jump speed keep, out of Precious Room just to kind of jump way up to the save room there. That was very well done.
Yeah, that's a nice little wiggle jump there. I'm not sure if it has an official name, but this is actually very similar to what you do when you're playing a more standard category and you're coming into Fish Tank from Main Street with gravity on. When you miss that jump through the door, if you're a little short on it, you can do that same sort of wiggle, and what it does is sort of transfers some of Samus's speed or holds on to Samus's speed vertically and allows her to continue to sort of wiggle up around the edge of a wall. It's a special case scenario. Duck now in this, taking that extra 2 hits there, just needs to be a little careful with health. Trying to go the lower route here through CAC hallway and just avoid some of those extra jumps, but makes through it okay, and we'll have the opportunity to farm up a little bit here if he feels comfortable enough to do so.
Yes, indeed. Duck kind of making their way to, I guess, the safer portions or more comfortable portions of these runs. I mean, we're still suitless. We're still having to avoid these Meridia enemies with with no suits and such. But kind of a light in the tunnel is on the way at this portion of the run. They're about to go grab themselves some plasma and feel a little bit better as they go through here. Meanwhile, Rusty, given shot number 2, let's get through this Coliseum. This is a dangerous, dangerous room, and give all our energy to Rusty.
That looks okay.
The crazy part about this room is that you have to go against your instincts. If you start to fall in the sand and you want to be back where you just came from, you want to turn around, but if you turn around, ooh, the Metroid just
Ugh,
wrecking Rusty's plan there.
I hate that. I absolutely hate that part of the design. It's so frustrating. You get that grapple block, the Machtroid flies through the grapple and detaches you. Ugh, it's the worst
Yeah,
when that happens.
it's I'm sure he's not happy about that at all. But yeah, if you turn around in the sand, it's going to change your fall speed. You're just going to fall straight down to the spikes. Um, all right, looks like we're all set. Did Rusty save before Dragon?
Rusty did not save before Dragon. I cannot say that I blame him at this point.
Probably
Might.
feels very behind. I don't know if they're watching the stream. They're allowed to watch the stream, but yeah.
Oh, I see. We're going to get the save after the damage down. Okay.
Okay.
All right, that was probably the last set of tricky rooms here. Duck just about to leave on the aptly named Forgotten Highway and make their way towards their first suit. Of course, we have a Fantoon fight coming up, but it should be easy peasy here with this full beam combo, picking up that plasma beam before leaving Meridia. And now Iron Rusty going into this this very tricky Dragon fight here. So we got a little RNG, we got some patterns to worry about. Got to figure out how we're going to get this flash suit, get this blue suit. But fortunately, Coliseum behind us, and Rusty can push on.
Ooh, those turrets are really trying to take Rusty out of this fight. All right. Oh!
No, no,
Goodness.
no!
Oh my
So
goodness.
folks, what you just witnessed, it's crushing, and it seems that it should make no sense at all. That turret was dead to rights, and your heart bleeds for Iron Rusty, but there is a absurd amount of time before which that turret is destroyed, where it can actually decide to shoot. And so even though that turret was already exploded, the way that the RNG dictates it, it had already made the decision to fire that turret, and despite being blown up, it had one final lick left to give out, and in its dying breath, it gave Rusty an unfortunate second reset here.
Yeah, that is just rough stuff. It's not really something that you should expect as a natural just instinct. It's I just killed this thing. It's been a full second, and oh wait, now I have to watch out for these little turret balls here. Okay, round two. Luckily, Rusty just had a save there. apathyduck in chat with condolences for Rusty. I'm sure that they've had that happen themselves before. All right, Rusty damaging down. Meanwhile, we got a double boss fight on our hands.
Yeah, we're going to be able to rush through Fantoon easy here. There's 2 missiles and 2 more and a charged plasma shot. That's going to do 900, plus each of those 100 on the missiles. So Fantoon from 2,500 already down to 1,200 here. There's 1,000. There's 800. And off-screen kill, there you go, and Fantoon is dead. A nice 2-round fight, just letting Fantoon sneak off for a couple extra seconds, hiding off-screen, but nicely executed there by Duck. And we'll be moving up to their first suit of the run, and we'll be in a much, much better shape.
Very nice. That is harder than it looks. What Rusty just did there. You have to hold that angle down so that you can jump without initiating your shine spark, get gooped, jump up, and then let go of your angle so that you initiate your shine spark because you're still holding jump, but initiate it late enough so that Dragon grabs you and you don't spark into the ceiling, and then also get the quick grapple kill. It's a lot of different stuff you have to do in your head. So GG's to both of these runners for making that happen very nicely.
Nice sort of hybrid attic strat there from Duck. Meanwhile, Rusty clearing out the space of this turret and is going to go with plenty of health for this grapple jump.
Very nice. First try, both runners. Let's go.
Yeah, it's interesting there. Iron Rusty was using angle down there. This is something that you'll typically see when you're jumping to make sure that you don't initiate a vertical shine spark. Actually, being underwater is really, really forgiving once you have blue suit. Not so much with flash suit. But when you have a blue suit underwater, you actually don't need to hold that anymore. You don't have to worry about blowing the suit. The only way that you could blow your blue suit underwater is if you actually physically press down, charge the shine spark, and then initiate it. So fortunately, not something that you need to worry about. But the good news is Iron Rusty got that save post Dragon and has the ability to move on. Now, obviously, quite a bit behind. This run is not over. We still have some other shenanigans down the line. But I suspect that Duck is going to do his best to mitigate any of those major choke points with this kind of a lead.
Yeah, it's just going to be a consistency and just a solid game from Duck to kind of win it here. But I'm sure Iron Rusty is also going to do the same play so that if there is anything, any time saves that can be made off of anything that happens to apathyduck, Iron Rusty is going to be right on the heels, trying to do the same thing. Quick note. Coming back to one of the things you said about the Botwoon fight, the time where they pop out with their head in that top left section, there is a way to avoid it. You kind of have to do a little half tile hop forward and then just morph. And that should allow you to avoid that one, but you have to be ready for it. If you have a charged shot and you're ready to hit them, you have to kind of let go of that and just do the quick morph there.
Yeah, the timing is not easy. I've never pulled it off in an actual run. I usually just tank that hit, get the extra charge shot in. I guess it depends what kind of health I'm on too, right? If you're in really, really dire straits, you're going to focus entirely on where Botwoon is coming and maybe, forego the extra hit and the time loss. Depends how aggressive you are, depends how much health you have. But well pointed out. I think someone in chat said the same thing, so well spotted there.
Indeed. Chat's always on it.
That is on it. I hope everyone's having a great time today. We have an awesome audience together with us today for this early round action between apathyduck and Iron Rusty. If you're just joining us, Iron Rusty pulled off a wonderful upset against the stream in the first round, a 2-1 match victory. This, of course, game 1 of our best of 3 series. The winner is going to be going on to face Bands with Legend. Bands, I think, an underrated 7 seed in this tournament, has been playing very, very well, very strongly leading into this, and will be sitting in round 3 awaiting the winner of this matchup. apathyduck and Iron Rusty will have at least one more race after this, depending on the winner. Of course, in this race, apathyduck, as the higher seed, chose to veto max percent GT. That's the GT code. And Iron Rusty choosing North Korea to try to introduce some volatility. We've certainly seen that here today, wouldn't you say, Papa Schmo?
Absolutely. Both runners screens, unfortunately, but that is the nature of the category, and probably what Iron Rusty was kind of hoping on. Just wasn't hoping to take some resets and some deaths himself. And lower Norfair for the first time tonight on apathyduck screen. Coming up, and when you get down and you hear this music, you've never heard it before, just playing this game, you completely understand just from the start of this music that you are now entering into something different, something potentially deadly, and you better keep yourself on your toes there. I love the music of this game.
Yeah, they do a great job orchestrating this score and just letting you know that it is on like a prawn at the break of dawn. It is for real down here in Lower Norfair. Of course, in this case, we've got our gravity suit. We've got our full plasma charge combo. This is a whole lot of loadout, and this is really where you see the difference between RBO and NK percent.
Yeah, the only thing we really are missing here is the screw attack, and you can see how that makes a little bit of a difference in apathyduck's screen there. They missed the short charge for the fast pillars, so they're going to have to resort to the power bomb strats there. But if you had screw attack, that would have been a easy peasy, ain't no thing pass through the fast pillars there. But a couple of power bombs, apathyduck is through. And meanwhile, ironrusty is making their way through wreck ship as fast as they can and try to catch up. Ooh. Base jump showing a little bit of its kind of a weird timing-esque shenanigans for apathyduck, but after taking a dip in the acid, they made their way back up. Ain't no problem.
Yeah, Space Jump can be kind of temperamental. Gosh, I think you hear all the top runners even complain about it. It's just, sometimes it just acts a little funny, especially when you're not underwater.
Yeah, underwater it's amazing. You have much smaller amount of frames that you have to wait before you can hit jump again and have it activate. But out of water, you have to be very kind of methodical with your movements. Nice double Kago from apathyduck through those spikes. That's not easy to do.
Going for this fast Metal Pirate setup here. Yeah, this is that second shot is just a little tight depending on your setup, but nicely cleaning that up and moving on through this Plower House room here. And on the right side of our screen, Rusty doing a nice job knocking out Fantoon and progressing to the more forgiving part of the run. This is where really where it becomes more of a boss rush.
Yes, indeed. And here we have Sir Ridley.
This is the nice behemoth setup here to get that extra charge shot in just from that vertical position, just as Ridley's sprite becomes active and is able to take damage. Nice way to speed the fight up by that one extra charge shot. Looks like that super went right over Ridley's head. Duck probably trying to use 3 supers to eliminate 2 charge shots and speed the fight up just a little bit.
He's going for the 9.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I guess that kind of makes sense. You're gonna go to Crade. You're gonna get a nice super refill on the way in and on the way out, and you'll probably still be in pretty good shape. I'm not sure that I would want to leave Ridley with 0, but depending on drops, let's see. Yeah, 3. It's okay. It's all right. You're gonna get the Crade refill, or I should say the mini Crade refill on the way in and out. And if you really need to, you feel like you want the extra supers, you can certainly hang around Crade's lair a little bit after the drops and pick up a few extra for your trip into Turian.
Yeah, it's not terrible. You can even farm the Plower House room somewhat easily. It's easier with screw attack, but a little bit depending on how fast you want to be through that room. You can snag a couple supers on the way out.
Nice speedball there from Duck, and a nice morph through the door. I love that strat. Allows you to set this bomb immediately, and then come through this Key Hunter stairs room. Really nice.
Yeah, I probably should have, but I've not seen that strat before, so I'll be trying that my next run.
Now, fortunately, we do have those reserves still intact from Duck. Normally, this would be a really sort of Monk-esque situation, just with 53 energy. You can take a ton of damage off these Key Hunters that are coming up here. Everything in Lower Norfair packs a punch. But fortunately, we are, I think, probably at full reserves, if I remember correctly. So Duck should be just fine for this escape, but it is going to get just a little bit tight here if there's any issue whatsoever with these pirates, or these Key Hunters rather.
Duck is definitely going for some plasma shots to take out the first 2 of the 3 musketeers, and then did a nice little just a plasma shot to make sure that he weren't going to take damage and could run through the last musketeer. So Duck is out of Lower Norfair, making the way back around. And as we have spoken, we've gotten the D, we've gotten the P, and the R, and so Duck is just making their way to the K to take out Crade, and then on their way to Torian for the Mother Brain.
Yeah, and Duck in chat hanging out with us here, pointing out that it is also faster. Yeah, you get some nice lag reduction. There's a specific setup, a tile setup that you can use in that key hunter room in order to get just 2 charge shots to take out all 3. It is by no means free, but it is a really nice fast strat that is available to you in old route where you have plasma, or any other category like this where you have a fully charged ice wave plasma combination coming out of lower Norfair.
Sure.
Duck, Duck faking us all out there, faking himself out. It's funny because we know we have Duck here in chat with us, and I was actually just gonna say only thing that could stop Duck at this point is a G3, but Duck beat me to it and demonstrated exactly why it can feel really foreign running these categories. There is so much to learn. Most of these runners are running these for the very first time in a race situation. We're talking about 5 categories. I know me personally, Papa Schmal, I'll ask you in a second as well what your prep was. I learned all 5 of these categories. Now, obviously, there's some carryover from things like 100% or any percent in the case of any percent all bosses, but you have to do a lot of learning, and there's places like Business Center where you go through that room differently in every single category. You have to know 5 different strats and 5 different item loadouts to go through that room. So I don't know, what's your perspective on that? How has your prep been? Has it been infuriating as it has been for me trying to remember all these different things to do?
I enjoy. I certainly enjoy learning new things, especially something that takes me a little bit out of my comfort zone, like North Korea percent in this case. But yeah, I went straight for what I thought was the most difficult, and that's what I tried to learn first. So I went to North Korea percent, and then I learned Max GT percent. Then from there, I just kind of picked one because the other ones are a little bit more familiar. But what yes, absolutely. Doing a multi-category tournament, trying to have a bunch of these routes kind of in your head and going through the same room 4 or 5 different ways can be something that messes you up sometimes. But I do want to also stress that anybody else, starting out Super Metroid, or maybe they've been running a little bit of any percent or something like that, looking at this tournament and being like, man, I'm just totally not. I'm not ready for something like this. Like, this is a lot of categories. I don't know most or all of them. Um, I I think personally, and maybe you can weigh in on this as well, Professor School, but doing these tournaments has made me just better at Super Metroid in general. Like, there's encouragement for runners of all skill. Doesn't matter how long you've been running, to come and join this tournament. There's so much support on getting people the knowledge and the ability, and just like asking questions so that you can come and do these tournaments in the future. So don't be afraid. Like jump in. There's so many people that can help you, and if you don't think you're good enough, you are. As long as you enjoy speedrunning Super Metroid in any capacity, please join in. We love to have anybody and everybody. Sorry to go on a super tangent here, but I felt like even though we're showcasing how these runners are doing an excellent job at kind of these difficult things, it's also on the same case how novice runners can also participate in some of these things.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't agree more. There was something going on in chat about, I totally missed it. I think there was a door transition maybe going through to at the backside to Varia that took a long time. It was either Duck went through the top of the door and had a really long transition with like a charge shot, or else got hung up on the ledge exiting Kraid's lair into Varia there. Sorry, I missed that. But by the time we all figured it out, Duck already making his way into G4, and this time we will get all 4 of those gold statues to turn gray. Fortunately, remembering to go to Kraid. It has happened to the best of us. There are some real gems out there, some clips on Twitch of runners getting to G4 and wondering, wait a minute, how am I so far ahead? What did I What did I do? Oh, Kraid. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think that's a Ponk, the one you were doing just there. If it wasn't, that was definitely a good
That's right. Yeah, well
Ponk
remembered. That's
impersonation.
Ponk. And it's happened with Fantoon as well in GT Classic.
Oh yes,
That G3, it's so easy, right? Your muscle memory at a certain point is
20%
just to
mode.
continue.
Just kicks in, and you're like, I'm ready for Mother Brain. Let's go. Oh, Fantoon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yep.
And I'll point out to those of you asking about it in chat, 100% a fun category to run. It is an absolute blast. Maybe not such a fun category to race. It is stressful to race this category. I do have to say though, I am so thrilled with this category and with the entire tournament. So a big thanks to all of our organizers for putting this together. It really is the first time that most of these categories are actually being raced, and oh boy, so Duck, retracing steps here. Are these Metroids gonna respawn? Oh, sorry, I thought Duck was in room 4. I completely missed what I was looking at. Low super count here for Duck. For a second, I thought they were in room 4 retracing their steps.
Yeah, I think they'll probably go for some missiles on this room and the next room just to be safe. But they probably be okay. 20 and 6 at this point. These next three will hopefully give them at least a couple supers. Yeah, there we go. We're up to 20 and 10 and 15. Everything's good to go for Duck.
And
But
the
yeah,
Rinka
that's
boost? No,
oh.
just missed the Rinka boost. That's okay. Taking a little bit of extra damage, but fortunately with 5 tanks in reserves, it should not be a problem. I will point out that is actually why Duck and Rusty are picking up the Varia suit here in this category. I guess theoretically Rusty with 6 tanks could skip Varia, but it would be, I think, quite a ballsy and dangerous move. Of course, you need that Varia suit to survive Mother Brain's Rainbow Beam. Ooh, and
Yeah.
Duck going just you got it. That's a tough one, right? Baby skip, and I know Duck is probably just I don't know, laughing or crying right now, but has been on some absolutely sick paces the last 3 weeks prepping for this tournament, and just continues to miss baby skip in all of these runs. It's all right. Lots of a nice big lead here. Has plenty of time to go and fill up and get this safety, but I'm sure Duck just a little bit frustrated about another missed baby skip.
Yeah, it's rough. Missing that, especially since you probably practice it, 10 times before or something like that, and it really that trick, if you have any couple of milliseconds worth of hesitation in something that you're doing and you decide to do something else, that can really just cause everything to break down. It doesn't take much of a decision change in all of that in order for Baby Skip to just go awry. I have a cat on my keyboard here. Okay.
Cat on the keyboard and a dead Mother Brain 1 on the screen. Here's the swerve from the developers. This is not it. This is not Metroid 1. This is Super Metroid. We've got 2 phases left in this boss fight. On the left side of your screen, Duck getting ready to outload 20 fully charged plasma shots on Mother Brain and make short work of this boss. Between this and Ridley, it's the reason why we make that large divergence on the way out of Meridia to pick up that plasma beam, because the long time that it takes to collect that beam is nicely made up for in the speed with which you can dispense of both Mother Brain and Ridley, about 3 times faster in both cases.
Absolutely. Meanwhile, at the beginning of all of that, Rusty, I don't know if they meant to. They coming out of Lower Norfair, they froze the little Nova there, and was able to stand on it. It wasn't a ball boost, but it was the next best thing. It was a little bit swaggy. I'm not sure if it was intentional or not.
Right, Rusty just needs to remember to turn right, and there it is, no problem. Supering into the warehouse and into Kraid's lair, and we'll be wrapping up the final of these 4 bosses on their side of the screen. Well, it was right there. I know, Rusty, I know, but of course, Duck faking us all out, going 2 rooms over before they realized what was going on. Fortunately, no stand-up glitch here, so no worries with any issues there. But as Duck pointed out on commentary the other day during one of my races, if you have a lead like this, yeah, if you were to have a category with baby skip, with stand-up glitch, you know what? There's so much that can go wrong in stand-up. Why don't you just go ahead and skip it? And in this case, not even an option. Duck just going to sit through this long cutscene and get ready to acquire that hyper beam and wrap up the final phase of this mother brain fight.
Yeah, 1,001 ways to have stand-up glitch just go wrong, and it's been seen many times before in many other tournaments, especially the GT Classic tournament that just wraps up. There's just so many ways that new ways that I've never seen before. So yeah, if you can just you have the ability to play it safe, why not?
Yeah, absolutely. And Duck was in the middle of what appeared to be a perfect Mother Brain 3 fight through the first 6 rounds or so, getting all 4 possible Hyper Beam shots in. And then Mother Brain just does what Mother Brain does and did a weird sort of forward backstep there, made life a little bit more difficult for Duck, and the end of that fight just went a little slower. But we've got this 3-minute countdown timer for Planet Explode, and Duck will be comfortably moving on to this Game 1 victory in this matchup between apathyduck and ironrusty. So just a few more seconds here, a couple more room transitions until this GG. A really nice performance, and a way to tough it out, I think, from Duck in this case. Both of our runners were met with a ton of adversity, and Duck just a little bit cleaner in that back end of Meridia, without any of those resets in Coliseum or against Dragon. And really, that was the difference, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, especially in this category, I mean, having a cleaner movement through Meridia is huge. The held runs and stuff are definitely something, but at least you just need to get through the room as quickly as possible and manage your resources and stuff like that. In Meridia, all of that technical stuff that you have to do, it's really just there. And we have Duck finishing up in first place. GG's to Duck.
Yeah, with an official time of 1 hour, 6 minutes, and 28 seconds. That is a really nice time. I mean, obviously, that is about 4.5 minutes off Duck's PB. But for a race time, 106 by itself would put you in the top 20 on the leaderboards in a race. That is really good stuff. Nicely executed by Duck. GG's.
Absolutely. GG's. And thank you for finding that time. I was like looking through the chat trying to figure it out. Oh, there it is. But yes, 106 is actually, even in PB portions, is in the top 7 of everyone in this tournament. And it looks like we have apathyduck here for an interview. Well, GG, sir, for taking first place. How do you
GG Duck.
feel?
I felt terrible. That was not the. I did a practice run of this right beforehand with the safety tank, and I would only miss PB by like 20 seconds. So this is not as good as that. So I mean, my plan. I mean, I played it safer here than I did even that practice run. I took a lot more. Like, thinking that run, all I saved was before Dragon. But yeah, it was real close until Dragon, and then unfortunately Rusty had the Coliseum death, and he's getting S-Gray scope.
I see that.
Very good. I mean, gives you safety on. He's got enough tanks for stand up now, so gives you that safety there.
Yeah, it ended up being really close there, and even uncomfortably so. Duck.
Yeah,
going
I mean,
into Meridia.
Like, you give me odds before the race that we basically start leaving Dragon and we're tied. I'd still take those odds. But the problem was,
Sure,
pre-Dragon, and it's like, missing Dragon once is like 3 minutes, depending on when you mess it up.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, like seeing him right behind, and I had that was just stupid. Not like I can get by that Metroid easily enough. I just completely flubbed it. I should have just froze him the first time, honestly, and just not even dealt with it. Taking like 500 like health away from me was pretty bad.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, that's what Meridia does for you in this category, right? It is every step there is a place to hiccup. And it wasn't just you, right? I mean, both of you had some issues there. Rusty just getting the slightly worse end of the stick. And we're joined by Rusty here as well. Rusty, GG, it was one hell of a race. That the first 25 minutes was just absolutely thrilling to watch. Thanks so much for joining us.
So close. Yeah, I was getting so rattled by how close it was at the beginning, and then when the one that got me was like, "Oh, you missed the fast entry." I'm like, "This is my chance. I'm gonna overtake him." But then somehow I messed it up too.
The one thing I didn't practice as a backup was like, what's the odds of me missing that? Like,
I missed the backup on the fish in the wall, and then I had to do the crab also. So it was like, no, this is not how this is supposed to go. And then of course the Coliseum. I was like, oh, I'll just go back for this health. What am I doing? I don't need health.
I think we probably had the biggest disparities in Coliseums that you could possibly have, unfortunately. So because I pretty much
kept going,
went straight across. So easiest way to not have to deal with the sand is just not touching the sand. Like
I mismanaged my ammo. I was supposed to pick up Spore Spawn supers, and I forgot. I realized.
I was wondering about that.
About Alpha Power Bombs. I realized, you know what? I should have more super missiles, and so I had to try and make it work.
Yeah, like I saw because I was ahead going to pick Big Pink, and then like I saw you ahead, and I was like, oh, you didn't get Spore Spawn supers. That makes sense. And I was like, well, what? I figured you were doing MGA's route. We were coming back. And I was watching. I was like, "What are you doing? Like, where? Like, you got Ice Beam first, and then I was like, where are you getting these extra supers from? Like, I was so confused. Like,
I got the Ice Rod for Trinex, right?
Yeah, I mean, like, worst you can do it with 10 if you have enough missiles, but you just have to sit there farming that Metroid, which is terrible.
Yeah,
but
I got it on the first drop, and then I realized, that my missile count is bad. And I thought,
that's what you ended up doing.
So I ended up getting the Precious Missile and just farming the ridiculously lucky super off that Metroid the first try. I was like, this works.
Yeah, it's even worse if you have to two-try it, because you have to do that every time then.
I know, and those door transitions are just the worst. I think it was actually Nevdi who just dropped a 59 or something, right? Out of a ridiculously good time out of nowhere, and just skipped crab supers and went on a 10 super route. So it's totally doable, right? But it makes things just much more volatile.
I wanted it to be safer. I wanted to have a safer Botwoon, and then I just forgot to pick them up. So, all right, talk about volatile. Yeah, you can just forget to do stuff too.
Yeah, I mean, it's the thing of picking the underseed, picking the volatile category. It's volatile for both of you. So
yeah, it was fun. Thanks for the race.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, thanks for racing and giving us a great show, and everybody in chat was having fun, and Professor School and I were going back. I guess both of you were watching the restream from the start, I imagine.
Right.
Is that something that you always do, or is that something that sometimes you don't do because it makes you too nervous? How does that work for both of you?
I mean, I usually do in the tournaments I'm in, but I think especially in this category, because it's just so volatile with how many places. And it's honestly not Meridia for me. It's usually the hell runs. But I mean, like I said, I usually two tank them, so it's a little bit more. I would have died if I tried to do a tank it here in a couple places. So it's pretty comfy with 3. But especially here, it's it gives you a really good indication of how aggressive you need to be. I was still kind of ahead of him at most places, but if he was a little bit closer, I might have skipped the Botwoon save or some of those other things. Just because it's if it's going to be that close, the save's not going to save you, because if you die, he's just going to be 5 minutes ahead, and you can't make that up anyways. So,
right,
especially in this category, I think watching to know where they're at is pretty important.
Well, I gotta say, from the booth, it was an absolute blast to call. North Korea never disappoints. The first 25 minutes were just absolute fire. We all had a great time. So I want to thank both of you for a good race. And I only got to ask one more thing. When can we expect game 2 from the two of you?
I'm not sure. I got a couple of things in the next few days, maybe the weekend or something. I'll reach out soon enough though.
Yeah, we
Awesome.
haven't figured it out yet.
No, that's great. We are looking forward to that. If this one was any indication, Duck, of course, you not surprisingly vetoed max percent GT. I suspect that's going to be pretty consistent for you throughout the tournament. I won't ask you to give away any of your strategy in upcoming rounds, but it just seems like that's one of the ones that you shy away from a little bit more often. Is that fair to say?
Wait, sorry, you're talking to me?
Yeah, just asking about
there.
No, that's okay. I was just asking about the veto there.
Oh, yeah, GT. It's just, I mean, there's two upset specials in this. It's this and GT Max. So especially like being the higher seed, I'm going to veto one of them, and then GT Max is just like it's this. Like before the tournament, I was like, I'm either going to come back to any percent for like 44, or come back to 100% for the 19, and I'm like, well, there's just way more to relearn in Hundo, so I don't feel like doing that. I join this tournament. It's like, oh, by the way, there's Hundo Plus in this. I'm like, yeah, no, like that's just. Like,
right.
like most of like I said, most of this is like for me running Fantune first and all bosses and 69%. Like I got most of the strats down there. Like all bosses are kind of like half new route, half old route, so that's fine.
Mhm.
This is just RBO light, like so I know all the strats, but it's just like Hundo. There's so many strats, and there's like the more equipment you have, the more mechanically inputs like all the strats are going to be. And GT Max, you have everything for the entire run. I'm just like, it's too much. It's just too. And then like the beginning is just like Fantune can just decide to kill you, and there's nothing you can do. Like it's like, all right, that's fun. And then just like 5 missile Fantune is kind of ridiculous, anyways.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
and you miss a jump in bowling alley, you dead. One time, like if you just put the inputs in wrong on GT code, you got to reset. You missed the green gate glitch, you got to reset. Like this is just like, okay, the hell runs, you can get one extra tank to make it way easier. And then Meridia, it's like fine, but that's at least like it's a lot more manageable. So GT Max, it's all over.
I appreciate how frank you've been with us.
It's terrible on both ends, honestly.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Well, I gotta say, I wish both of you luck going forward for your next race. Maybe we'll have a chance to jump on comms for that one as well. And in the meantime, looking forward to watching what you two have in store for us throughout the rest of the tournament. So I'll leave it at that, and I'll say good luck to both of you.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
All right,
Right on.
folks. With that, we are gonna wrap up our show today. No double header. I'm gonna have to send you over somewhere else and see what's next. But this has been the multi-category extension tournament. This is some early round action. We saw an absolute barn burner today. Thanks to apathyduck and ironrusty for joining us in the commentary booth. Thank you to my co-commentator, Papa Schmo, for giving me a lot of fun. Always nicer to not have to do this by myself. And thanks to all of you in chat for entertaining and playing along. We had an absolute blast today. I will let Papa Schmo send us off, and I'll wish you all the best for your day and your evening ahead, and I'll see you next mission.
Indeed, we will see you next mission. Thank you all for coming by. There is much more to be had in this multi-category tournament, so stay tuned in the next couple days and next weeks. We got a lot of good runners. We are only in rounds 2, some of them 1 and 2 really, and we're gonna have a lot more to come. So if you want some more Super Metroid awesomeness in this multi-category extension tournament, stay tuned to SpeedGaming. And to all of us, thank you to the organizers, thank you to SpeedGaming. We have had a blast, and we hope you have too. Adios, and as my co-commentator, Professor School, said and beautifully done, we will see you next mission. Thank you all.